Hey everyone, and welcome to the first of a series of Wix Experts webinar. My name is Idan, I'm from the Wix Code team, and we've got a lot of requests from you of how your clients, after you ship the website to them, break your website, do stuff in the editor, etc. So today I'm gonna take this opportunity and show you how you can create an admin page in your website. Um, in this admin page, manage all of your website content in the way that no one can break it and can upload all of the data and all the content from the front end of your website. So let's start. One more thing, I just want to say that you can ask questions in the chat, and we have the Wix Code and Wix team here to help me out, so feel free to do it and you will get replies there. And the first thing that we're going to do is turn on developer tools. So let's hit the code and turn on developer tools. Once we do that, we see all the components of the Wix code opening up, and we can start by looking at the site structure here on the left. And from here, we can see all the pages, public and backend code files, and our database. And here it's where we can manage all of the database, view it, create it, etc. So the first thing that we want to do is set up a database. We'll click on the plus sign, new collection, and then we will give our database a name. So for example, we can do a event test just to see how it works. And then we can change the permissions. So you can see a lot of presets of permissions, but in this case, we just want to present the content from our database. So we will choose site content and then create this collection. Great. So now that we've set it up the collection, we'll get to this page. And this is the sandbox database. Okay, this is where we'll create the schema of our database. We can do, for example, add a field, give it a name like a description, for example, and then decide the field type that we want to do it. Yeah, if we want it to be image, Boolean, number, etc., we can control it from here and create more fields. We can also add more items to each field. And everything we do here in the sandbox is really in preview mode. Okay, if you want to get all this content into your live site, and the reason to do both of that is really so that you can control your website, do it in preview, and not make all the changes in live. Then the thing that you need to do is actually sync, then copy all the items to live, sync, and then they will be there. In this case, we already created the event database. So you can see it here. We have the title, description, address, date, and image. Everything is set up here, and we already synced it to live, so everything is ready to go. So now the first thing that we want to do, we would want to set up a page that presents all of this information. So each event that we created, we want to have a dedicated page. So we'll go to the page menus, and then we'll click the dynamic pages. From here, we can simply add a dynamic page to our site. And the value of dynamic pages is that we will design it once. We will design one template. We will connect it to the database. And then each line from our database will have its own dedicated page with the URL, which is great for your SEO. So let's choose the database collection that we want to use. In this case, it's events, and we want to create an item page to present one event at a time. We'll hit next, and now we can set up the URL exactly as we want it. So in this case, we want the URL structure to be events and then the name of the event. So we're good to go, and let's create this page. Okay, great. Now that we created a page, we can see that we already have a data set connected to this page. A data set is actually what's connecting our pages to our collections. and we will later on see how we can add more to the same page, or just add them manually. But for now, because we created a dynamic page, this has already been automatically context for us. So let's start by designing our first page. We can add some text and add like a title for this event. So we want it to be event title. And everything I'm now doing, most of the things that I'm doing will be placed and will be used as placeholder. So everything going to be eventually replaced from information from our database collection. But for now, let's just use some placeholders so we can see and design our page once. So we're also going to add an image here. Great. By the way, the data set, you can move it anywhere you want in the site. No one will eventually see it. It's something that only you can see when you're working in the editor. Okay, now we will add the about section. So let's add another title here that our visitor can read about our event. We also want to have date and place, address, and we will also want to have our content for later on that we will be replaced instead of the about and the date and address. Great. So just to make things clearer for me, because those things are only placeholders, so it doesn't matter what's in there, but it's important for me to make sure that everything reading correctly, so I'll know later on which one, which field in the database I'm connecting it to. So we can do date and we can do address, and we can also change the text according to what we want to have there. So if we want to change the font or the font size, we can do all of that as well. Yes, great. And it's okay. Now that everything is ready, the only thing that I've left for us is to connect everything to the database, actually to the data set on our page. So we can take the event, for example, event title, and click on this button, which is connect to data. We will click on it. As we have only one data set in our page, it will already be connected to it. So it's the event items, and now we can connect it to title. And when we see that it's green, we know that now our element is connected to the database. We'll do the same for the rest of our page here. So connect the image, connect the about, and description, connect the date, the address. Great. So now that everything is connected, let's preview our page and see that the content is really being replaced with the contents from our database. So as you can see, the content has been replaced. We have all the information from our database about the events. You can preview more events through here and see everything. All the information has been changing according to the events that you selected from the database. Okay, so now we'll go back to the editor. We have the first page that we want. We have an event page, but now we want to set a page where they can see all of the events and select out of it the events that they want to read more about. So we'll go to the menus and pages, and we'll create a simple page that we will call it events. Great. So now that we have this page, because it's not a dynamic page, we don't have a data set connected to it automatically, so we'll need to add a data set to this page. To do that, we will click on the Add panel, and then we'll check the database section, and we'll simply add a data set to our page. Now, as you see this mark, we need to manage and really connect the data set to our database. Let's connect it to our event database and leave the mode on read-only, because here we only want our site's visitors to see content from our database, and we don't want them to do anything else. Okay, and now after we have all of this, we can really start designing our page and do the same as we did earlier. We'll add a title to it. In this case, we can call it all events. Great. And now we want to showcase all of the events in a simpler way. So how can we do it? We can use an element that called list and grids. From the add panel, we will go to list and grids. As you can see, it's layouts, lists, and more stuff that you can choose. And the best thing about it is that I can simply choose whatever grid I want to use and whatever design I want to use. And I can design it just as I did with the dynamic pages. I can simply design it once, and then it will be connected to our database and presenting content from our database without me need to edit it, design it again, or do anything like that. This comes in a preset of 3, but actually we need to design it once. If you see, if I move something inside of here, all the 3 are being changed at the same time. And just to make things like easier for us to design, let's just delete 2 of them and have one so we can design it nicely. So I can simply edit everything here in the same way. I can take off a lot of elements, edit it exactly as I want, change the text here to read more, and even change the design of it if I want to another button, and then give all the rest a title. So here I'll just call it title. Here I want it to be the date of the event, and then I want the second one to be the address. So again, I can design everything exactly as I want to, and the boxes that I'm deciding to later on connect are only placeholders. So I can, just for myself to know which one to connect it, I can do this and this. And now let's connect everything to the data set. So we'll click on the connected data icon, connect all of the repeater to our event data sets, and now we'll connect all the elements inside of it to our data set as well. So first we'll connect the image, and then we can connect the title to the event title that we have. This will connect to the date, and the last, well, not the last item, but one before is the address. And now we want to connect the button. So we actually want to connect the button to a dynamic page. So everything will be dynamic. The content here will be dynamic. And the next thing that we'll see will also be from dynamic pages. So we'll connect the data. And instead of connecting it in the same way, we have 2 connection options. The label is if we want to change the text inside of the button, which we don't want to do now. And the link, we can choose the link that we want to connect it to. We have dynamic page, we have the events. So let's connect it to that. And let's preview our website again and see all the events and how it looks. Great, so now I have this page with all the events that I have from my database, everything being dynamically transferred from the collection into here. And if I'll click on the read more, I can actually go to a specific dynamic page on the event that I just created before. And I can see that I can see here more information, and I can see how everything is actually connecting together. So this was the first part, and the first part of how I actually present content on my page. But now comes the section of like, how do I manage all of it and not let my users go into the databases, how I change it, and I don't want to let my customers to go into my editor. And this is why we will create an additional page. We'll go to the pages and menus, click on site menu, and add an extra page to it. This time we'll call it admin because this is a page that we want only admins to see. And we'll click on the settings. Okay, once we'll click on a setting, we see this open up, and then we can control a lot of things on our page. But let's go to the permissions. Who do I want my page to be seen by? So I don't want anyone to come to this site, be able to click on admin and later on change the content of my site. And this is why we have a few options here. So the first option is letting it to everyone, which this is the default. Then we have password holders. So I can just give it a password. And once I gave it a password, everyone with this password can log in there. Or I can do the members only solution, which I think is the best thing to do in this case. So let's click on the members only, and then we have like manage the site's member or member sign up setting. So first of all, we can go to members site settings, and then we can who can be a member. So I can choose if I want anyone that just registered to my site. Probably not. I want to approve them. So we'll select the people I approve. Which options show first? So if it's new member sign up or existing, so it's up to you, whatever you prefer. If mostly it's existing members that are gonna re-log into this page, I think this is the best option. And then you can do it by social, and you can manage all your policies or terms and conditions, privacy policies, etc. here. So if you want to upload those kind of stuff, you can also do that. After we manage the sign up and how we want it to be, now we can go and manage the site members. So we'll click on that, and we'll get to the CRM of our website and see the contact list of users that can log in or not log in. We can add contact. So simply by clicking on this, I can add, for example, Wix, and this is how I simply add a new contact to it and save it. I can add more details. I can edit my contacts. Each contact have its own personal folder with everything around it, or I can see the full list of my contacts. It doesn't matter, but here is where you really managing all of it. So let's go back to our page. And after we've set up wherever we want to log into the page, now we'll need to design it. In this case, the design will be a little bit more complex because we need both to read and write content from like the database. So we'll design it in two phases. The first thing we will do is, of course, add a data set to this page. And so we'll make sure it's connected to our database. And this time, once I connect it to the events data set, I will choose a different mode for it. So if until now we chose read only because we only wanted site visitors to view content from the database, and if I will create a form, I will have only write only because I want my visitors to add information and add content to my database. In this case, we will set this data set as read and write because I want the admin of this page to really be able to read content from the data set and write content into the database as well. So let's set it up for read and write, and this is, we can put it on the side. Great. So now we need to redesign this page again. Like, let's design another page. We can choose text here and give it a title. So I can write events admin, and this is not, shouldn't be connected to anything really. And let's head, remember when we went to the list and grids, instead of adding all of the items manually, we can just simply choose a table from here that it will be added automatically. So let's choose this table. And we can also control the design and how it looks. So we can choose out of the layouts that we have here. And now let's connect it to the data set. So we'll choose the event data set. We can see that everything is changing accordingly. We can also edit it manually if we want to. In this case, we don't need to. And then when we'll preview, we can really see all of the events information here in this table. But now we really want to have another option where we can edit all this information. So we will need to use another Wix Code feature, which called user input. User input elements, what's helping you create form, quizzes, or anything else that you want to do. And it's pretty much is there to help you write data into your database. So we will choose some inputs and we'll set them up to everything that we already have. So we can change the title of this input. So we have title, then we can choose another one that is date, then we have another one that is address. We just set it up just as a form. Okay, so basically we created those three, which are my content, whatever I want from the content, but I also want my admin to be able to control the image out of here. So we have various user input types. We used only the input one, but we have radio buttons if we want to use it, drop downs if we want to get a selection, switches. And for an image upload, we will use the upload button, and we'll put it here and set it up accordingly. And the last one that we want to present is the description, actually, of like all of the description for all the events. So we'll just go to a text box and select it and add it here. Okay, so now we have all of the elements that we need to set up this stuff, but we need an action to make it work. So in order to make it work, we really need to set up a few buttons. So we'll go to the add panel again, and we'll simply go to buttons and select any button that we want to use. So let's think of what we want our customers to eventually do with all this content. So first, I want them to be able to save all the changes that they just did. So this is one. But I also want to let them add new stuff in here. So I want to be able to let them add new events, and so they don't need to go anywhere else to do it. And the third thing that I want to do is if the event has passed already, or I don't want canceled or anything else, I want to have the option and let them delete this event. So really in this case, we want to use 3 buttons. And now we'll connect everything to the data set again. So let's simply connect everything as we did before, the title, the date, the address, and the image, and description. Great. Okay, great. So now everything is set up, and now we'll also connect our buttons to the actions that we want them to make. So we'll do connect the button, and again, we don't want to connect the label, we want to connect the kind of link. It's not really a link, it's actually an action. But to save, I will set submit, because this will submit all the information from here to my database collection. For new, I will simply select new, because this will create another one. And for delete, I can select the link to delete. But as you can see here, we have a lot more options. You can load more, you can use it for next items. For example, if it's in a dynamic page or anything else, you can swift it, revert, and we have more options, so you can use them as well. Okay, now everything is connected to our database. So let's preview and see how we can really control all of the information in our database collection. So this is an example. I'm selecting this event, And I see all the text here, I see all the information here, but I really want to change it to July 10th instead of July 1st because one of our people just got confused. I'm doing save, as you can see here, it's already been changed. And if I'll go to the events page, I can also see that the event date has been changed here and in my dynamic page as well. So it's been changed everywhere, and this is a great way to do it. So when I go back to admin, I can also select an event and delete it. For example, I don't want this event to be here anymore, so it's just been deleted. Or if I want, I can also add a new event, which will set up a new line for me in the database collection. So it's this. We're at the 6th of June, and the address is actually online. Let's upload a file, an image for it, and say create admin page. So let's now add this and save. And once we will save it, we will see it first here in the list with the image. And again, if we'll go to the events, we will see the new events of the Wix Code webinar. We can read more about it. And it's super simple and easy to now manage all of the site content directly from here, from our front end of our website, not giving anyone the option to go to the back end. And yeah, this is pretty much it. I want to thank all of you for coming and viewing it. And I want to thank the Wix team here that are helping me and answering you in the chat. And one last thing before I'm closing this. So we're going to have a poll, and now it's going to be in the chats or somewhere there. And you can vote for the next webinar and the next thing that you want to see, the next webinar that you want to see. So vote either here or in the Facebook group. And that's it, guys. Thank you very much for watching.